Hey buddy, it's Peter, and I meant to do this video driving around, but I found it's a beautiful sunny day here in Fredericton, and the sunshine coming in and out, it's just hard to watch with all the shadows coming everywhere. So I am parked in a parking lot to give you an update on what's going on in my life, because frankly, the last video I did is well out of date now, and I can talk about some of the things that I couldn't talk about in the past. So, what's going on? Well, first of all, if you don't know who I am, I used to run a YouTube channel called the Kia Hyundai channel. I kind of started that basically from scratch, built it up into what Google eventually ended up calling one of the #1 dealership YouTube channels anywhere in the world. So when I left that, a number of you reached out to me and said, are you making a mistake? Are you sure you know what you're doing? And they also told me that channel was going to fail. That channel is doing completely fine. They're taking it to new heights that I've never been to. So they are doing great, but I am also doing great. And if the only reason you follow me, or the only reason you, if you've discovered this video, the only reason you want to follow me is because you want to see me doing vehicle reviews, I still do that. I've done that. I've partnered since August with Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals and Jim Gilbert's Power Sports here in Fredericton, New Brunswick, and they are literally legendary. In my opinion, they are probably the best dealer in the country. And like, I don't say that mildly. So Gare Maxwell wrote a book. We'll talk about him in a second. Big Little Legends. This entire book is based on what happened with Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals. Chapter 2 is the full story of Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals here. They were started as a small little car dealer. They made some major changes and became legendary. And it's not just something they've done once. They took on the Kawasaki line just a few years ago here in Little Fredericton, New Brunswick, where supposedly nothing happens, and they became the top volume Kawasaki dealer in the country. So partnering with Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals has been pretty cool for me because they have outperformed expectations again and again, and that appeals to me. To me, the very simple matter is, if I'm going to do videos for someone, if I'm going to put my name on them or my name on something related to them, I want to know that when I'm talking to you through the camera on video here on YouTube, I want to know that we're going to ignore that call. I want to know that they're going to treat you exactly the way I would treat you. And when you talk about Canada's huggable car dealer, the laser focus they have on caring for their customers is unbelievable. And there's a very good reason that an entire book has been based around their principles. So they are a perfect partner for me. And it allows you, if the only reason you care about following me, if you want to see video reviews, I am still reviewing Kawasaki, Pedego e-bikes, Piaggio and Vespa scooters, a number of vehicles of every brand, and they're heavily focused into EVs, which, as you know, I'm a big fan of. I think there's a lot of challenges with EVs and a lot of opportunities with EVs, and I still get to follow that process. So I still do daily videos, but that's just a piece of what I do. And if you've been paying attention to me at all, you hear me talking about this idea of little companies becoming legends. And Gare Maxwell and I were talking this morning. He's talking in Dallas right now, just today when we were talking. He goes around speaking around the world, essentially, about how little guys can take on major corporations. And I think there's so much opportunity for that. When I did the Kia Stinger videos, Kia America hired me to go down to LA. We did a big professional film shoot, and when the Kia Stinger was launching, and a couple videos they ended up putting together and throwing up on YouTube. And my videos that I filmed with a phone, and put them on YouTube, outperformed those videos. Nobody, to my knowledge, has ever gone into a Kia dealer anywhere in the world and said, I saw those professionally filmed videos you did, and that's why I want to buy a Kia Stinger. But a lot of you have come into dealerships across the country and said, I saw the videos you did on the Kia EV6, the Stinger, the Sportage, the Seltos, all kinds of things, and said, I'm buying a car because of you. So how do I compete with big companies? Well, that's exactly what Gare Maxwell talks about in his Big Little Legends book. So part of what I'm doing now as well is identifying with organizations and companies some of the things that they do that are just not effective. And when I say not effective, you're going to hear me talk a lot about the idea of pushing the car. I think we get stuck in this idea of success of pushing the car. So think about how we were taught about success. If you give it all your effort and you see forward progress, congratulations, you're a success. And if you want to have more success, you just got to give it more effort. And that's the idea of pushing a car, right? You push the car and work as hard as you can, and the harder you work, the more progress you're going to make. But that's not how companies and organizations grow exponentially. Gare Maxwell has tapped into this. I understand this. Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals understand this. There's a way to grow exponentially that's not that hard, and sometimes it involves stopping doing what you're doing. Stop pushing the car and understand how these things work. We've created systems, we've created processes, and processes are very good and very important, but those processes were created decades ago. And even if we only implemented them just a few years ago, did we take into account the internet? Did we take into account things post-COVID? So one of the things I'm doing is I'm really working with organizations to help them identify when they're pushing the car and some of the key processes to how to actually drive the car. And it can seem intimidating and that kind of thing, but when we talk about little legends, Gare Maxwell with his big little legends, when he talks about these little guys taking on these big companies and taking on these big things and accomplishing big things, hey, I don't have a fancy sound studio and I don't have a fancy studio, but as a little person, you can take on and accomplish huge things and see exponential growth. And that's where I'm focusing my business. So if any of that appeals to you, you can follow me on Twitter. I just created a Twitter account yesterday. I think I have 2 followers, but that's where I'm going to talk about more of this sort of idea of growth and business and that kind of thing. And we'll talk about things that I'm involved with there as well. You can still follow me on the YouTube channel. You're going to see playlists involving all of the vehicles that we talked about, but I'm also going to create a playlist of sort of the Peter Lowe One, which is the company I've created now, of talking about some of the ways that we can help organizations succeed. So if any of that appeals to you, you can go to my website. It's peterlowe.one. It's on the bottom of the screen there. It's also in the link in the description here. And yeah, you can follow me there, follow me on Twitter, and that's what I'm up to. So there's a little more precise update of what I'm doing. I'm still actually working with Kia Canada. For those of you that wondered if I'm still tied to Kia at all, I've been doing some training videos for them. I've done some in the past. I'm going back to the head office this month. We'll be doing some more training videos, and we'll continue on that as long as they want to have me and as long as it makes sense for me to continue doing that as well. So I'm still tied to some of those things that I used to be tied to, but I'm also able to take on things that excite me. And I've been doing well. Things are going great. So anybody concerned about me leaving that previous channel, don't be. If you still want to watch me, please do. If you're in Fredericton, New Brunswick, swing by Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals because it's a destination store. It's amazing, and you can really sense the difference as soon as you walk in. And like I said, if you want to talk with me, you can reach out to me on Instagram. I'll still be doing a lot of those video reviews, which my Instagram is listed on the screen there. Twitter, I'll be talking more business stuff. And again, if you want to know more about Jim Gilbert's, about Big Little Legends stuff, Chapter 2 in Gare Maxwell's book, Big Little Legends, grab this book. It's pretty cool, and it's a starting point that kind of continues on this conversation. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll talk to you in the next one.